Hello and welcome to an episode of Historically Marked. I am Jason in Springfield, Illinois on the Illinois State Fairgrounds, and in case you haven't noticed already, this is a special Route 66 episode, and this is an ongoing project by the Illinois State Scenic Byway, which has been the main Route 66 preservation group in Illinois. And this is an exhibit that's going to be debuting I think next month at the Illinois State Fair when it goes on in August of 2023. This is a couple days after the 4th of July I'm doing this, but there's a lot of recreated stuff from Illinois Route 66, like a lot of neon signs, some giant statues, and a lot much more. It pays tribute to everything Illinois Route 66. A lot of them I have visited in my past videos from 2 to 3 years ago, and so if you see something familiar here, don't be shocked. But it starts from Chicago to the Chain of Rocks Bridge in Illinois, so I'm going to go ahead and start the tour. And here we got this glittery Route 66 sign, and I'm pretty sure they don't care that if I roam around these grounds. I mean, I see some people here, but they don't really seem to care. A lot of billboards, but this here is the recreation of the Route 66 Historic Route Begins sign, which is in Chicago, and there's a marker on the back of it. This is where the Mother Road begins. The historical marker is located at the intersection of Adams Street and Michigan Avenue in Chicago. The original 1926 terminus was at Jackson Boulevard and Michigan Avenue. However, when US 41 was relocated to Lakeshore Drive in 1938, Route 66 was extended an additional 2 blocks east on Jackson Drive through Grant Park, past Buckingham Fountain, to end at Lakeshore Drive on the shore of Lake Michigan. And we're going to be going through some of these little barns. One of them is closed actually, but I'll show you that one soon. Welcome to Illinois. Very nice. This is just about the Illinois Route 66 Byway. It just talks about Route 66 being the most famous road in the world, blah blah blah, and a map. Like it has all the alignments, blah blah blah, yeah. And if you want to do the Abe's Hat Hunt thing here in Springfield, definitely do so. Would love to do it sometime. Oh look, yeah, it's got like all the license plates from all the Route 66 states like New Mexico and Arizona, Texas, Oklahoma, and so forth. There's some Burma Shave signs, recreations, and billboards. From here, Chicago is 198 miles, Joliet 161 miles. All right. This is just a map of that section. And over here are just some random photographs, black and white ones. And if you want to advertise here, you gotta check it out. Info at illinoisroute66.org. Maybe I should advertise my channel. That's the Cozy Dog Drive-In. And here's some of the towns I featured, like I featured Gardner and Dwight. They got some sitting areas here too. That is the section of Route 66 I have not driven yet, but I have been to like Wilmington, Elwood, to Joliet. And that is a recreation of a rest area. And underneath the shelter is this really cool Route 66 artwork sign. It's a little dirty now because of mud and everything, but it's a collage of different Route 66 signs. Like this one is the Santa Monica Pier one, Illinois. And on the ceiling are some old tin signs, kind of like that Harley guy in Eric, Oklahoma. And by the way, if you're going to take your kids here, they don't want anyone to climb on these things, which I think is kind of strange, but whatever. Now we're going to go through this barn. From here, Towanda is 75 miles. Pontiac is 100. It just shows another map of the road and some random photographs, like Cadillac Ranch. These are actually the same ones I've been seeing in those barns. If you don't know whose signs these are, you haven't driven very far. Cute. Arnold's. Oh, happy days, eh? Unfortunately, this is closed. It's locked up, but that's okay. So we're only 43 miles from Atlanta, 30 miles from Lincoln, and 63 to Bloomington. Now we're going to take a little detour These are old signs. These are put up by Ace Sign Company, which is based here in Springfield. They have done an excellent job doing a lot of vintage signs like this one. This was at Chain of Rocks Motel. It's supposed to look like it. I don't know if these actually light up at night, but I'm sure they will once the State Fair festivities happen. But this is in Grant City, Illinois, close to the Chain of Rocks Bridge. It's got the classic Googie inspired shapes. And I remember this sign being up, but it says here it was in 2006. The neon sign was sold to collectors and replaced with a contemporary lighted cabinet for current hospitality chains. Whatever. And this is actually 60% of its original size. So I'm glad they're honest about that. And here's some Route 66 attractions on this barn that was closed. Like, I've been to the mill, I haven't been inside it. Actually, I've technically been to these places, but not inside. Like, I've been outside the Palms Grill Cafe in Atlanta and Funk's Grove. And before we get back on the road, here's another legendary sign. This was in Beneld, Illinois. Well, it's a reproduction of it, but it's the Coliseum. It burned down several years ago. And it was one of the biggest dance clubs in the United States, or I guess not in the United States, but in Illinois. A lot of legends had played there, like Chuck Berry, Ike and Tina Turner, and if I'm not mistaken, Elvis Presley too. Wait, actually, it says right here, what am I saying? Okay, so the Coliseum opened during the Prohibition era of the 1920s. It was the largest dance hall between St. Louis and Chicago. Big bands such as Duke Ellington, Lawrence Welk, to stars like Ray Charles, Chuck Berry, the Everly Brothers, again, Ike and Tina Turner, and even a young Jimi Hendrix once played this dance hall in the Illinois countryside. Oh my. For nearly 9 decades, the Coliseum was utilized. Unfortunately, in 2011, the building was destroyed by a fire. Yeah, this is actually 75% of its size. If you have been to the Coliseum, I would love to hear your memories. Obviously, I was too young to go there. Now, I did hear in later years it was turned into a flea market. I don't know when it actually stopped being a dance hall. And this one is about the Abe Lincoln Motel here in Springfield. It was originally the Abraham Lincoln Tourist Court, built in the late 1940s and was located on Old Route 66 at 2927 South 6th Street, next to the original Cozy Dog. At its largest, it had 44 carpeted deluxe units, complete with air conditioning, central heating, in-room telephones, and TV, and a bean-shaped outdoor pool and added large dining room building. The sign was removed and parts sold to collectors. And this is actually the right size, 100% the original size. How about that? And lastly, now I do remember this sign came down piece by piece. I mean, I'm talking about the original sign. This is on Chain of Rocks Road near Mitchell, close to Edwardsville, where all the factory warehouses are now. But here's a little history about that. The Bel Air Drive-In. It was opened by Com Theaters in 1953. It was a single-screen drive-in located off historic Route 66. In 1979, a second screen was built. At one time, the Bel Air Drive-In could accommodate approximately 700 cars. It was closed for good in 1987, and the drive-in was completely demolished in the mid-1990s. For more than 30 years after the drive-in closed, the colorful marquee stood in the original entrance. In 2018, the marquee was taken down and sold to sign collectors. And this is actually 66% of its size. And not to disappoint anyone, but if you did drive by there today, you wouldn't even know that a movie theater, a drive-in, was there. All right, we are back on the road. Springfield, 0 miles, duh. Elkhart, 20 miles, and then Chatham is 14 miles. What? Doesn't seem like it. Seemed like Chatham was only 5 miles away from here, but what do I know? And this is where it kind of gets sticky with all the old alignments. Like, this is the original 1926 alignment. You got to go through the state capitol and a lot of other sites. And then this is like Interstate 55. And then a really old alignment even went through where Lake Springfield is now. So there's a part obviously you can't drive on because it's underwater. Confused? So am I. And they do want you to tag them on social media. Hashtag my Illinois 66. Okay, right here. Awesome. All right. Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum. How would I know that Wrigley would be advertising on this. Wrigley Field, duh. So now we're going to go south, and it's going to tackle both alignments. Now this is the 1926 to 1930 alignment, where you go through Gillespie, Carlinville, and then this is the post 1930 alignment where you go through Litchfield, Mount Olive. A lot of them are on Interstate 55. But I'm going to go inside here. So, I mean, I've driven both alignments. I highly recommend both, and prepared to spend a lot of time in a lot of these towns. And another cool thing they're doing, and I'm actually seriously thinking about doing this, is putting a personalized brick here. Because I actually just talked to one of the fair workers here, and he didn't mind me trespassing, but he said that this is a permanent exhibit, so this is going to be here for a long time. And I'm sure, like I said, I mean, it's an ongoing project. I don't know what else they're going to add, so stay tuned for more episodes. But if you are seriously thinking about getting a brick, definitely go to Casey at IllinoisRoute66.org. Contact Casey Claypool. And here's a nice garden. And now we are at the last stretch of Illinois Route 66 as you're headed towards Missouri. Now this is where, again, it all gets sticky with all the alignments and such, because they all changed throughout the St. Louis area. But you have like Hamel, Edwardsville, Glen Carbon, Pontoon Beach, Mitchell, Grant City, Madison, and then Troy. These are all like the interstate ones mostly. East St. Louis, Brooklyn, Venice. And I'll show you the map. See what I'm talking about here? And even though a lot of people say the Chain of Rocks Bridge is the official Illinois end of Route 66, I mean, technically, I mean, to me, it's this right here. That was the first Illinois Route 66 video I've ever done. The first one I've done. And it also went over the MacArthur Bridge in East St. Louis, which, yeah, it's right here. But for Route 66 travelers, don't let this intimidate you. I mean, because there's so much to see. Like, people would much rather go this way just because, you know, the huge ketchup bottle is like right here. All right, now we're going to go to the home stretch. And this one pays tribute to all the giants that are on Illinois Route 66. I mean, I've seen several throughout every state, you know, here on my Route 66 journey, but there are some that I've seen that I featured in my videos. Like, I've seen the Harley Man in Livingston, Illinois. I've not seen Left Field Louie in Joliet, Illinois. I've shown you that one. That was originally in Cicero, Illinois, where Paul Bunyan's holding a hot dog. In my Wilmington, Illinois video, Route 66, I've shown you the Gemini Giant. I have not seen this one. I'll have to check out that one. Evergreen Park, Illinois, that's the Chicago suburb, I think. Yep. The Guardian. This is found here in Springfield. Lauterbach Man. The Franklin Muffler Man. What? The Franken Muffler Man, sorry, in Burbank, Illinois. I've seen this one in Livingston, Illinois. Like the one over there. The Harley Man. That's at that Pink Elephant Antique Mall. And then Carl's Soda Jerk in Normal, Illinois. I have not seen that one, surprisingly. And then finally the Brave of Pulaski Road in Chicago, Illinois. All right, we are almost finished. Some more cool gardens to see. Put together by the Springfield Civic Garden Club. And some old billboards. Like the, what do you call it, the wooden fence underneath it, like Stuckey's. There's not very many Stuckey's left, I'll tell you that. There's one, I believe, it's in southern Illinois. West Frankfort, I think, is the name of the town it's in. Shays, drink Coca-Cola, and again, here's the rest area. And then finally, the Chain of Rocks Bridge, a kind of a reproduction. And this sign is still there. In fact, here's a marker that talks all about it. Opened in 1929, bypass US 66 was designated over the bridge in the late 1930s and carried travelers from Illinois into Missouri over the Mississippi River until it closed to vehicle traffic in 1970. The bridge is notable for having a bend in the middle of the crossing. Today it is a pedestrian bridge that offers spectacular views. And at the time I'm doing this video, they're actually making a replacement of the current Chain of Rocks bridge. Not this one, but the one that cars are literally driving on right now. And they're also doing a tourist information center on the Missouri side. I featured that in a previous video as well.